You heard what I said and then called me a liar. Now you refuse to believe what I've shared. Your mind may not want to accept these revelations, but inside you there's a voice saying, accept it, it's the truth. Soon you'll know. Time will help. I feel sorry about your confusion, but this world's never really been about truth or lies. In this world, there's only one thing that's worth knowing: hard facts. Despite this universal truth, people misguidedly choose to only accept the facts that appeal to their way of thinking. They're so limited, they can only accept the truths that are comfortable for them. So, this is simply about wanting to hang on to your personal power. Realizing things may not have been as we accepted them to be unsettles us. It's overwhelming. Are you absolutely sure that you know the truth?
Youth is a lie. It is nothing but evil.
This one out.
Those who look to rejoice in their youth deceive themselves and those around them, accepting in full the circumstances that devour them. In the face of the great and reverend word youth, they will twist any common interpretation or accepted notion out of recognition. In their minds, lies, secrets, sins, and even failure are nothing more than the spice of youth. If failure is truly the designated mark of one's youth, then would it not be considered abnormal for one not in his youth to still fail at befriending anyone? But I'm sure none of them would admit to that being true. They only define youth to their own benefit. In conclusion, I leave you with this. All you fools who delight in youth, drop dead.
I'm not saying a bunt is bad. Baseball is a team sport, and everyone has their role to play. But jujutsu sorcery is an individual sport.
Isn't working with the other sorcerers important?
Of course. But no matter how many allies you have around you, when you die, you'll be alone. You can only piece together undervalued data on yourself and others. You can't imagine a stronger future version of yourself. Maybe that's because of your trump card. You believe that in the worst case, you can resolve everything at the cost of your life. And at that point, forget about beating me. You'll never even measure up to Nanami. Dying to win and risking death to win are completely different. Give it your best. Be greedier.
You and I are the same. We're both motivated by our desire for peace and justice. The justice that I have delivered against the Leaf Village is no different from what you are trying to do to me. Everyone feels the same pain when losing something dear. You and I have both experienced that pain. You strive for your justice, and I strive for mine. We're both just ordinary men who have been driven to seek vengeance in the name of justice. And if one comes to call vengeance justice, such justice will only breed further vengeance and trigger a vicious cycle of hatred. Right now, we live in such a cycle. I know the past and can foretell our future. It is the same as our history. So we believe that human beings simply cannot understand each other, and they never will. The shinobi world of ours is ruled by hatred, and hatred alone. So, Naruto, how would you confront this hatred in order to create peace? I want to know what your answer is.
The perfect being, you said? Well, I have to tell you the honest truth as I see it. In this world, nothing perfect exists. It may be a cliché after all, but it's the way things are. That's precisely why ordinary men pursue the concept of perfection. It's infatuation. But ultimately, I have to ask myself, what is the true meaning of being perfect? And the answer I came up with was nothing. Not one thing. The truth of the matter is, I despise perfection. If something is truly perfect, that's it. The bottom line becomes, there is no room for imagination. No space for intelligence, or ability, or improvement. Do you understand? To men of science like us, perfection is a dead end, a condition of hopelessness. Always strive to be better than anything that came before you, but not perfect. Scientists agonize over the attempt to achieve perfection. That's the kind of creatures we are. We take joy in trying to exceed our grasp, in trying to reach for something that, in the end, we have to admit, may in fact be unreachable. In other words, you may think that we operate on the same level, but you are wrong. The moment you started talking about perfection, you embraced an impossible concept, and it already lost to me. That is, of course, if you are indeed a scientist at all.
There are many types of monsters in this world. Monsters who will not show themselves and who cause trouble. Monsters who abduct children. Monsters who devour dreams. Monsters who suck blood. And monsters who always tell lies. Lying monsters are a real nuisance. They are much more cunning than other monsters.
They pose as humans, even though they have no understanding of the human heart. They eat, even though they've never experienced hunger. They study, even though they have no interest in academics. They seek friendship, even though they do not know how to love. If I were to encounter such a monster, I would likely be eaten by it. Because in truth, I am that monster.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you will realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility. Listen, everywhere you look in this world, wherever there is light, there will always be shadows to be found as well. As long as there is a concept of victors, the vanquished will also exist. The selfish intent of wanting to preserve peace initiates wars, and hatred is born in order to protect love. There are nexuses, causal relationships that cannot be separated.
I hate nice girls. Just exchanging hello makes me nervous. Texting just makes it even worse. If I get a call, then for the rest of the day I'll keep checking my phone history with a wide grin on my face. But I know the truth. They're just being kind. Anyone kind to me is also kind to others. I always end up nearly forgetting that. If reality is cruel, then a lie is kindness. And so, kindness itself is a lie. I'd always hold expectations and I'd always misunderstand. And at some point I just stopped hoping. An experienced loner doesn't fall for the same trick twice. As a veteran on this battlefield of life, I'm an expert at losing. That's why I will always hate nice girls.
If I may, I'd like to pose an interesting question. Are all human beings truly equal? These days, everywhere you go, there's talk about the fight for equality. As a wise man once said, heaven does not create one person above or below another. People like to throw his words around. But that's not the whole quote. He goes on to say that while we are all equal at birth, pretty soon things begin to change. Academic effort is what sets some people apart to rise above the others. At any rate, humans change over time based on their actions. Truth be told, at the end of the day, equality is just a fantasy. And most of us go through life denying the fact that we live in a meritocracy.
You don't get it. Trust is the same thing as reliance. It's a fault of cowards. I have no need for such weakness. I have many subordinates, many who've pledged themselves to me, but I've never asked for any of their trust. I've asked for their allegiance, but faith is another matter altogether. In fact, I always told them to never trust anyone, including myself. Unfortunately, though, I've met no one who is strong enough to actually heed that warning. All creatures need to obey. No one can survive without trusting someone they feel is better, more worthy than themselves. To avoid that responsibility, those who are worthy look even higher, searching for more superior beings. And those superiors do the same, looking for even stronger individuals they can believe in. That is how all kings are created. It is also how gods are born.